If you've been following us, you'll know this is our first attempt at recording our adventures for YouTube. You will also know that we are attempting to ride around the Great British coastline. What you're watching here are the highlights from the previous 9 episodes. In just 6 days, we travelled over 1,000 miles around the southwest coast. Just in case you didn't know, that's the big pointy bit of England in the bottom left. Those episodes were filmed over 2 separate trips in February and March, and we stayed at guest houses. As well as joining us for a motorcycle ride, you are also journeying with us as we go from complete YouTube and travel vlog beginners towards something that, by now, hopefully, is a little more professional and enjoyable to watch. Let us know if you agree in the comments. From this episode, we've taken things up a gear. As far as the filming goes, we already made the progression from phone cameras to GoPro in episode 4. In this episode, we're using an external mic for the first time. Previously, the GoPro mic was recording everything, including the annoying wind noise we had to get rid of in production. That was the main reason we ended up using the voiceover style of presentation. As you will see from the clips shortly, we are doing some recording on the move. We're thinking we'll probably stick with the voiceovers as well, but let us know what you think. Also, as you will see, we are fully loaded and prepared for a longer stint. As we move away from home, we can't keep coming back every 2 or 3 days. Neither can we afford to stay in guest houses every night. So, yeah, you guessed it, we're camping. It's been a while since we camped for longer than a night or 2, and we're planning on staying out for 8 nights in April. Our daughter has said we'll last 3 nights at the most. We'll see about that. Join us and find out how far we get. In this episode, we need to get back to where we left off, Weymouth in the County of Dorset. We've included the trip back down to Weymouth in the rest of this episode because there's a few interesting things to see and talk about on the way. We hope you enjoy watching, and remember, like and subscribe if you want to keep up with future progress. Okay, so we are off on the 3rd leg of our coastal tour of the UK. Just leaving now for Weymouth, where we got to last time. Well, Portland actually. We're going to go back to Weymouth and head for Swanage today. So we're just going over the M5 motorway, coming onto the Somerset Levels, avoiding the motorways. That's Brent Knoll down there, Flat Top Hill. Just testing out. Ooh, bit of a sharp corner there. Brooksbridge Road took us by surprise. There's quite a few nice cottages down on the levels.
The Somerset Levels is a large area of low-lying fertile land and wetland habitat. If it wasn't for the simple but intricate network of drainage channels known as reens, most of it would be either underwater or a boggy marshland. The history here is steeped in myth and legend, some of which can be proven, some is unsubstantiated but possible, and some seems like a fanciful fantasy of an over-imagination. But who knows? The Levels give the county its name. They were once covered by water apart from the curious mumps and mounds that rose above them as islands. Somerset is therefore the land of the summer people, as the rich grazing pastures of the Levels were only accessible in the drier months. The Romans tried managing the Levels but didn't have much success. The second largest haul of Roman coins ever found was discovered here. In the Middle Ages, monks drained much of the land to farm it. Dutch engineers eventually drained them in the 17th century, but thankfully not until after King Alfred had used the marshes to escape the Vikings and preserve Anglo-Saxon influence for future generations. Otherwise, English history might have taken a different turn.
So we've just come across Somerset Levels, just a flat road that goes straight across, and there was an absolutely awful crosswind, and the bike was definitely being pushed to the left, wasn't it, Jarrod? But we prayed hard and it stayed in the middle of the road, more or less. We're thankful for a bit of shelter now.
The other king associated with the Levels is of course the mythical King Arthur. Many believe the Somerset Levels are where his base, the legendary Isle of Avalon, can be found. Some say it was at Glastonbury Tor, a conical and terraced hill now topped by a tower. Around 1190, monks at Glastonbury Abbey claim to have discovered the bones of Arthur and his wife, Queen Guinevere. What is more certain is that Glastonbury was an important religious centre. It claims to be the oldest above-ground Christian church in the world, by dating the founding of the community of monks to AD 63, the year of the legendary visit of Joseph of Arimathea. It is said he brought the Holy Grail to England, and that it can be found at Glastonbury Tor, but there is no evidence of this. Today, the Somerset Levels provide ideal farming for grass that feed dairy herds. Traditionally, the levels have also been used for the production of willow and peat. The threat of flooding is something the locals understand better than others. In late 2013 and early 2014, the area experienced unprecedented flooding. Eventually, a national emergency was declared, and for 2 months huge parts of the levels remained underwater. Initially, authorities blamed a perfect and unavoidable storm of weather and tidal conditions, but eventually had to concede to the locals' assertion that the deliberate failure to dredge and maintain the drainage systems had made the disaster much worse than it should have been. The Royal Navy has its own Air Force capability, in particular helicopters. They are based at 2 Royal Naval Air Stations. In episode 3 we saw the one at Culdrose in Cornwall. Here is the other, RNAS Yeovilton. The Fleet Air Arm Museum is here as well, and well worth a visit. It has one of the largest collections of historic Royal Navy aircraft. It also has a Concorde, the amazing supersonic commercial passenger jet that was sadly taken out of service in 2003. It last flew commercially on the 24th of October, and on the 26th of November that year it made one last scenic flight from London Heathrow over the Bay of Biscay before crossing low over the Clifton Suspension Bridge and touching down at Filton in Bristol, where it was partly designed and built.
This is the town of Sherborne, where many of the buildings are made from the charming honey-coloured local limestone, including its abbey dating from 705 AD. It has been a Saxon cathedral, monastic community centre, and now boasts to be one of England's most beautiful parish churches. Sherborne can also claim to have 2 castles, impressive for a small West Country town. One is the romantic 12th century ruin set in the grounds of the newer 16th century castle, where the Wingfield Digby family live, and have done so since 1617. This castle was built by Sir Walter Raleigh in 1594. We mentioned this well-known Englishman back in episode 7, where we described him as an ocean raider and sea dog. So, welcome back to the coast. This is sunny Weymouth. Yeah, Weymouth is a lovely seaside town. I remember many trips here, Sunday school outings when we lived in Taunton.
In the last episode we got to the Isle of Portland. We've returned to the far end of Weymouth Bay, which is just the other side of Portland Harbour. From here we'll resume our coast adventure in the next episode. We hope you've enjoyed our journey down to where we left off. Join us next time as we try to find an off-road route along the top of the coast cliff and see how we get on with camping. If you like what we're doing and want to keep up with our adventures, like and subscribe. We would also really appreciate your messages in the comment section below.
Right. Ooh. Oh yeah, I didn't put my foot right and twisted my knee. You have to get the foot at the right angle so you don't actually have to twist on your knee. You've already twisted on your foot. That's okay, nothing for you to worry about. I'll just hobble around.